What does it mean to be a man? Has the definition changed over time? These are questions that have intrigued us for generations. The concept of masculinity, a complex blend of societal expectations and personal identity, has constantly evolved, shaping our civilization in the process. From culture to culture, from one era to the next, the definition of what it means to be masculine remains fluid, morphing with the tides of time. Journey with us as we trace the path of masculinity from the primal ages to the present day. Imagine a time when survival was the name of the game. Cavemen, the earliest men, defined masculinity in their own unique way. We're talking about a period where there were no smartphones, no internet, no electricity, a time when the only tweet you'd hear was the chirping of birds, and streaming referred to the flow of a river. The cavemen were the pioneers of masculinity, and their definition of it was tied to the rawest form of human existence, survival. In the heart of the wilderness, strength was the currency. The strongest men were revered not for their looks or charm, but for their brute force, tenacity, and ability to safeguard their tribe from threats. The brawny cavemen, with their broad shoulders and muscular arms, were the epitome of strength, and this physical prowess was a crucial aspect of their masculinity. But strength wasn't just about muscles and might. It also encompassed mental fortitude, the ability to strategize, to make swift decisions, and to remain calm in the face of danger. These were the men who could outsmart a mammoth or navigate the family to safety amidst a forest fire. Their minds were their greatest weapons. Then there was the skill of hunting. The men who could bring home the biggest game were the heroes. They were the providers, the ones who ensured their families didn't go to bed hungry. Hunting wasn't just about killing an animal. It was about endurance, patience, and precision. It was a test of a man's courage and his ability to face death in the eye. And let's not forget the role of protector. The cavemen were the shield that stood between their families and the dangers of the wild. Their duty was to ensure the safety and survival of their loved ones, and this responsibility added another layer to their masculinity. Thus, the dawn of masculinity was centered around strength and survival. But as societies evolved, so did the definition of masculinity. Fast forward to the Middle Ages, when the concept of masculinity took a chivalrous turn. As we step into the epoch of the Middle Ages, the definition of masculinity broadens, adopting a more complex and nuanced form. This era, steeped in tales of knights and nobility, witnessed a shift in the understanding of masculinity. It was no longer solely about strength and dominance, but about honor, chivalry, and warfare prowess. Masculinity during this period was a blend of raw physical power and refined moral virtues. The quintessential knight in shining armor was not just a warrior, but a protector of the weak, a champion of justice, and a paragon of virtue. Knights, as the embodiment of medieval masculinity, were expected to display not only physical strength, but also moral courage. They were the warriors on the battlefield and the gentlemen in the court, setting a new standard for what it meant to be a man. Societal roles also played a significant part in shaping the definition of masculinity in the Middle Ages. Men were expected to be the defenders, the breadwinners, and the leaders. They were the heads of households, the protectors of their families, and the decision-makers in their communities. Honor was a crucial aspect of masculinity, deeply intertwined with a man's reputation and social standing. A man's honor was his currency, his worth measured by his ability to uphold his duties and responsibilities. The Middle Ages also saw the introduction of courtly love, adding another layer to the concept of masculinity. This chivalrous expression of love and admiration, often associated with knights, further emphasized the importance of respect and honor in defining masculinity. It was a delicate balance between strength and sensitivity, between power and gentleness. In the grand tapestry of the Middle Ages, the concept of masculinity was woven with threads of honor, chivalry, and warfare prowess. It was a time when being a man meant more than just physical strength. It meant courage, integrity, and a strong sense of duty. Courage, honor, and chivalry, the Middle Ages added new nuances to masculinity. As the world industrialized, so did the concept of masculinity. The era of the Industrial Revolution was a time of massive change, not only in technology and industry, but also in societal norms and expectations. This period, spanning the late 18th to the early 19th centuries, brought about a profound shift in the way men were perceived and how they perceived themselves. The Industrial Revolution challenged the traditional roles of men. No longer were they primarily hunters or warriors, as in past eras. Instead, men were now expected to be providers, breadwinners for their families. This shift in roles was undoubtedly influenced by the new opportunities available. The rise of factories and industries offered steady employment and a regular income. Men were now able to provide for their families in a way that was more reliable and consistent than ever before. But this new role also brought new pressures. The societal expectation for men to be the primary earners put a significant burden on them. Their worth was often measured by their ability to provide financially for their families. Success was equated with wealth and the ability to offer comfort and security to one's family. Moreover, this era saw the rise of a new kind of masculinity, one that was less about physical strength and more about financial prowess. This societal shift saw men trading their swords for ledger books, their hunting spears for factory tools. It was a time when the ability to earn a wage and provide for a family became synonymous with being a man. But this shift wasn't just about men. It also reflected changes in societal structure and family dynamics. As men became more focused on work outside the home, women began to take on a more central role within the home, setting the stage for further shifts in gender roles and expectations in the future. The Industrial Revolution saw masculinity equated with financial stability and providing for the family. And while this era has long passed, the echoes of its impact on our understanding of masculinity can still be felt today. In modern times, the concept of masculinity has seen a radical shift. What was once a rigidly defined construct, firmly rooted in physical strength and dominance, has blossomed into something far more nuanced and open to interpretation. This evolution has been influenced by many factors, but two stand out as particularly impactful: the feminist movement and the rise of LGBTQ+ rights. These societal changes have helped to challenge and redefine the archaic views of masculinity, paving the way for a more inclusive and diverse understanding. The feminist movement, by advocating for gender equality, has importantly highlighted that traits such as compassion, emotional intelligence, and empathy are not exclusive to one gender. Men are no longer expected to suppress their feelings, but rather are encouraged to express and navigate their emotions healthily. Moreover, the rise of LGBTQ+ rights has further broadened our understanding of masculinity. It has shown us that masculinity is not necessarily tied to one's biological sex or sexual orientation. Instead, it can be a part of anyone's identity, regardless of how they identify on the gender spectrum. Now let's talk about emotional intelligence and empathy. In the past, these were often overlooked aspects of masculinity, but in this new era, they're recognized as essential. Emotional intelligence allows men to understand and manage their emotions, leading to healthier relationships and mental well-being. Empathy, on the other hand, fosters understanding and kindness towards others, breaking down barriers of prejudice and discrimination. Equality is another key aspect of modern masculinity. It's about recognizing that everyone, regardless of their gender, has the right to be treated with respect and dignity. It's about challenging the harmful stereotypes that have been associated with masculinity for far too long. Today, masculinity encompasses a spectrum of traits, defying the traditional boxes it was once confined to. It's a dynamic concept, continually evolving and adapting to the changing world. And in this new era, it's more inclusive, diverse, and fluid than ever before. From cavemen to modern men, the concept of masculinity has indeed come a long way. It's been a journey, a transformation, an evolution. Like the pages of a history book, each era has penned its own definition of masculinity, shaped by societal changes, cultural norms, and evolving perceptions. In the early days, masculinity was synonymous with physical strength and hunting prowess. Fast forward to the Middle Ages, and the knight in shining armor became the epitome of manliness. Then, with the Industrial Revolution, the role of the provider came into prominence. And now, in the modern era, we're witnessing a shift towards a more nuanced understanding of masculinity, one that celebrates emotional intelligence and vulnerability just as much as strength and resilience. This evolution underscores a significant truth. Masculinity is not static or monolithic. It's fluid, multifaceted, and influenced by the changing tides of time and culture. It's a reflection of societal norms, yes, but it also shapes them. And as our society continues to evolve, so too will our understanding of what it means to be a man. Conversations around masculinity are crucial. They foster inclusivity, spark understanding, and challenge outdated stereotypes. They allow space for every nuance, every shade of masculinity to be acknowledged and celebrated, and for the harmful, restrictive ideals to be dismantled. As we continue to evolve as a society, so will our understanding of masculinity, and perhaps it's time we embraced its fluidity and diversity.